Mass News Digital Edition. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Amanda Martin Ryan. We start with developing news out of Chicopee. A suspect who was involved in an officer-involved shooting back in 2024 has been arrested again. Last year, Springfield police officer Nestor Santos was seriously injured during a shooting spree in the city while he was on his way to work. The shootings were carried out by multiple suspects using two different cars throughout the city. One of those suspects, who had been released on probation, has now been arrested again after Chicopee police conducted a narcotics investigation on Nonotuck Avenue. The investigation targeted Alberto Torres, who was one of the suspects who had involvement in the 2024 shooting of Springfield officer Santos. Torres is now facing several gun and drug charges.
Staying in Chicopee, a man died this morning after being shot in a Chicopee neighborhood in broad daylight yesterday afternoon. The suspect, 27-year-old Timothy Lynch of Chicopee, is now being held without the right to bail on murder charges. He was arraigned just this morning in Chicopee District Court. Chicopee police responded to the scene on Dayton Street, where they found a man in the driveway with a gunshot wound to the abdomen. He was taken to the hospital, where he was then pronounced dead.
In Springfield, an attic fire was put out this morning before spreading to the rest of the house, which fire officials say good timing is to thank. Flames broke out at 9:30 a.m. on Bloomfield Street. A retired firefighter was there conducting a smoke alarm inspection when he noticed smoke and called emergency crews. Springfield Fire Commissioner B.J. Calvey says the odds of that retired firefighter being there in that moment were extremely low. He attributes it to being in the right place at the right time.
Jimmy Kimmel Live is back after nearly a week-long suspension. Disney says it objected to the host's comments about, or rather after, Charlie Kirk's murder. Kimmel addressed that in his return monologue while defending free speech. Disney says it lifted the suspension after, quote, thoughtful conversations with Jimmy. Critics claim it originally caved to President Donald Trump. He says Kimmel's return to ABC, quote, puts the network in jeopardy. And the president adds, we're going to test ABC out on this. Sinclair and Nexstar Media, they're continuing to preempt the show on all of their stations.
And a good Wednesday afternoon. Time right now is 3:34. We're halfway through the work week and a cloudy day today. You know, up to this point, just about every day at the Big E has been fantastic. We had a lot of clouds yesterday, but only a few showers till the end of the day. And today, again, it's not like it's driving rain or anything like that, although we did have some good downpours and some thunder overnight. It's just been cloudy with some spotty showers. That'll be the case the next couple of hours, but the deeper we get into the evening, the better chance that we're going to be dealing with some showers, and that will blossom into a steady period of rain overnight tonight into your Thursday. Tomorrow certainly looks like a wet one. But right now, we have plenty of cloud cover and it's damp, but only a few little spot showers here and there. But these spot showers will become a little bit more numerous, especially as we get deeper into the evening. We actually have an area of low pressure, a couple of fronts off to the west. They're heading our way, and that's going to bring a pretty good soaking our way tonight and through the day tomorrow. So readings now are in the 60s, which is cool, but the dew points are in the 60s as well. So we have that cool, muggy feel. But if you are headed to the fairgrounds later this afternoon into the evening, bring the umbrella. Most of the time, at least through about 7 or 8 o'clock, you're not going to need it. But from time to time, you might with a couple of spotty showers. By 9, 10 o'clock, those showers are growing more numerous. Temperatures will be hanging out generally in the 60s. So here's your 24. You can see how the showers blossom into a steadier rain tonight, into the overnight tonight and tomorrow morning as well. The rain will come down at varying rates of intensity. We can't rule out a clap of thunder, although a better chance of that tomorrow afternoon as a front approaches. We'll catch a bit of a break, but pretty much run of the gun for at least showers throughout the day. And then in the afternoon, some good downpours and maybe a thunderstorm embedded in here as well. Right now, we're not expecting severe weather. That will likely line up off to our south, where it'll be warmer with some sunshine, but we'll be right on the edge here. But either way, it looks like an unsettled day tomorrow with some decent rains, and a good soaking seems to be in the cards here. A solid 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, which is good news because it has been dry. So we're going to get a good soaking in here as low pressure rides right along this front. Looks like we'll be close to the front, but again, a lot of the severe weather associated with this system will be from the mid-Atlantic in point south tomorrow afternoon. Friday, we're going to dawn with clouds, but we should see the clouds giving way to some sunshine. Temperatures tomorrow near 70 with that muggy feel, but with some sunshine on Friday, with the dew points going down, we're going to be up near 80, so still that summertime feel, and then we'll be less humid as we head into the weekend. So right now, your Saturday looks like it'll be in the middle and upper 70s. There'll be a system off to the south that will be watching. Might bring us a shower or two Saturday night and a Sunday morning, but the bulk of the weekend right now is looking dry, but still temperatures running above normal, mid-70s to near 80 degrees. And then next week, it does look like it turns cooler, but we could get on another roll here of some beautiful weather. Right? Okay, that's your forecast. We'll see you again at 4 o'clock. Amanda, Chris, back over to you.
All right, Dan, thank you. The nun who gained national fame for her love of college basketball is retiring.
Sister Jean Dolores Schmidt has officially stepped down as the Loyola University Chicago chaplain.
According to a statement from the school, the 106-year-old is no longer physically able to handle the position. Oh my gosh, only took till 106.
Right.
In 2018, Schmidt became one of the college basketball's most recognized fans as she cheered on the Ramblers' surprising run during the men's Final Four.
Schmidt was frequently caught on camera during games wearing that maroon and gold scarf while sitting in her courtside seat. She became a symbol of the Raiders' underdog story, loved by sports fans across the country.
She looks so good for 106.
She looks great for 86. Congrats to her.
Definitely.
Should all be so lucky.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for watching today's Western Mass News Digital Edition.
And be sure to tune in to Western Mass News at 4 on ABC 40 coming up soon. Have a great day.